Mm.
Hello, everyone in Facebook. How are you? I believe we're live now.
Oh, that's great, Nikita.
And I am fully aware it's been a while. We did not do this last week. So I'm very excited
that's right.
to be here with everyone here. And how have you been?
Not bad, actually. And as you chosen the right topic, so I was excited as well to talk about it more. And it's really appropriate for this time. And one of the things that I just noticed before I start was that so much uncertainty, anything, everything, personal, business, want to do, want to work, everywhere there is uncertainty. So I thought uncertainty should not change your focus. And that's where the challenge starts. Where how do you not change the focus when it's so much uncertainty?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was my start. Because I think the topic is quite appropriate. We are surviving every single moment. We are surviving in these uncertainties. And the people who are surviving, people who are positive, people who wants to survive, people who have got, what do you call it, acceptance of these uncertainties, and they want to move on. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Little things that you face on a day-to-day regular basis, no matter what age you are in, no matter what field you are in, no matter where you are, you got to move on. That's the life, that's the journey that we are in. So survival is every step of the way. There is a survival.
Yes, there is. I forgot that we're also engaging with Facebook at the moment. And usually I get my phone and watch the videos for comments, and I've kind of forgotten to do that part. So I'm doing it now. There we go. All right. So I'll just put that there. There we go. And now I can see your comments, guys. I was a bit too into it straight away.
Right.
So the reason why I chose this topic is because I've realized that everything that leads me up to this point, there's so many different things I've had to overcome and survive. I've also realized the girl that's doing most of the surviving, she was like a 7-year-old girl.
Wow.
And she's like, so a major event happened when I was 7 years old. And it sort of like stunted my growth.
Right.
Not my physical growth, but my mental growth a lot. And what happened is I had this friend. I was in grade 1 or grade 2. And in that school, they buddied you up. Like we called it the buddy system back then. I don't know if you guys know about the buddy system.
Yeah, definitely. The buddy system, they put you into with someone who can tag along and then who can work together.
They paired me up in grade 1. They paired me up with a grade 6er, and they sort of became your buddy for the year, and they carried you over into grade 2, and then they were in grade 7, and then they were gone. So my buddy was this absolutely beautiful girl, and she was gorgeous. She like took me in, and I was really popular with the grade 6ers because she would look after me.
Right.
And anyway, one day at school, she died at school.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And now there were certain little things that happened before that. So I was also raised very religious. All right. I was actually raised a Jehovah's Witness. I'm not ashamed to say that. That religion actually is a very tough religion, but also shaped and molded me. Like it gave me a lot of discipline and a lot of strict guidelines that I had to follow, which in hindsight, looking back now, it protected me from a lot. Also put me through a lot. But,
there's always two sides to the coin.
Yeah, it's just what it was, right? And now in that religion, it was really weird because I wasn't really allowed to associate with anyone who wasn't a Jehovah's Witness. At this point I just really wasn't. Anyway, I'd asked my parents if she could come over for the weekend. This is just before.
Right.
And they said yes. And I remember being really shocked about this. I was really excited. Told the girl, and her name was Karina. And anyway, yeah. And her parents said yes, and it was finally going to happen. First time I was ever going to have anyone come over. It was a very magical moment. And then she actually died before that happened. Right. And so what I made that mean as a 7-year-old, that I made it mean that God got at me for having a friend that wasn't a Jehovah's Witness and punished me and removed the obstacle because I was. So then I thought of myself as a monster from that point in.
Right.
And without even thinking and without even realizing, now this is about the point where the little girl actually started to become a survivor.
Right.
She had to do something. And so everything that came up after that in life, it was that same little girl that carried me through it.
Yeah.
And now it was very tricky after that. I also realized without even knowing, I didn't invite anyone over to my parents' place unless they were Jehovah's Witnesses. Never again. Never did that again up until like very recently when I became aware of it. I'm like, well, this is a stupid thing. And yeah, so it's just so weird how like little things, you just make it mean everything.
Yes. And that's what it is. Simple things. You have to cross those paths, cross those hurdles, even though they are simple things. And we think simple, but they are not simple things. They are your hurdles. They are your things that you have to overcome it. No matter, you have to cross that border, whatever comes at whatever age it is. So we do have God. I believe it's a great topic because survival in you is like everybody has got a survivor in them. And
definitely.
As we say that if there is a living being, then there is a survival for that living being. And whether it's nature, whether it is human beings, living beings, whatever, as we say, we have to water the plants, water the trees to grow. And their survival is that what we do for them. They also give us the survival by breathing the air, So there is quite a bit of synergies in terms of survival. And the basic survivor is like in a broader spectrum, people generally talk about survivor is okay. Most of the things is like when you have an illness or when you are sick or when you have a disease and then you survive. Like cancer is the most important, like today, because there is no medicine or there is no 100% cure. So, and there is
I
no.
have epilepsy, and I can tell you that's a thing to fight and survive. And it's just one of those weird things too. Like I have like cancer. I guess I have no say over it. I am medicated, and I am lucky that I'm on good medication. But even with that, there's no guarantee. Like even now, I'm starting to experience that things are happening and it's changing. But
you see, the interesting bit is there are two layers of survival. One is your physical survival, and with your physical body, with your mental side of it. But there is another side of it, which is your emotional well-being, and where when you have challenges, when you have got bad experiences, like people go through relationship separation, people go through suicidal attempts, people go through all sorts of abuse, bullying when you're a child, when you're little. So these are all, like even today, homelessness, extreme poverty, or poverty. These are other aspects of your survival. So one is your physical, which you are suffering day in and day out because of your illness or because of your sick, and that's a bodily survival. But the mental survival is worse because you have to literally tell yourself
and the brain The brain is the most selfish part of the whole body. It will have you sacrifice everything before it'll have you sacrifice it.
Yes, yes.
On the exception when it toys with your emotions. Like we have people killing themselves.
Yeah, yeah. So like, you know,
It's
we
insane.
experience bad situation, bad circumstances come along when you are a child, as you said, like, you know, when you had a buddies, and then you have got those experiences about your buddies, and then you have to survive within them.
Yeah.
Or we have to survive within your group, survive within your peers, colleagues, office, everywhere, you know.
Do you know what else that
those-
do you know what else that one little incident actually had me be? Like a way
Yeah.
of being afterwards? I was always terrified from that point on that I would lose someone or that they'd leave my life somehow. And do you know what ended up actually happening nearly all the time?
Yeah.
I would drive my friends insane because I was so paranoid that they were going to leave. So they did. I'd put it out there that much because I was so unsubconsciously scared that they'd actually leave. And then I have to go into survival mode. And then that little girl would have to show up and carry me through it because it's the same event.
Yeah, and that's one of the
Insane.
things, you know, like how would you rate, how would you think when looking back now when you are 7 and now you are grown up and you have been through lots of, still you're going through every day and everybody goes through, but they just, if they don't express or if they don't present, doesn't mean they don't go through, and you can't express everything. So you have to go through those things every day, every moment.
Yeah.
So in your now stage that you are in, like I want to ask you, like, what's the overcome, like you had the buddy, you had someone to hold on, you had someone to talk to, and you had still.
Actually, I went silent after she died. I didn't talk to people. They put me into counseling and stuff, but I didn't talk. It got so bad that I actually had to write stuff down with my counselor because she's like, I wouldn't talk about my emotions. Because how can you say I killed somebody because like, I fully believed I killed this girl and God killed her because I was going to bring her home to have like just a normal kid weekend.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to tell anybody that, so I just stopped talking. But so how I deal with it now, like how I deal with all her.
Yeah, all this emotional resilience. Yeah. How do you find this emotional resilience, you know?
Now that I'm aware of it and aware of, I look back and I think, you should never have gone through that. And it's hard. So I actually choose to look at it from self-compassion.
Right.
And just be okay with it. It was hard, and actually honor that 7-year-old girl that actually got me through it, because a 7-year-old ain't equipped to deal with that stuff. They're just not.
Yeah.
Hence why she made a story thinking that it was God, because who else could have, like, how do you explain to a 7-year-old that no, her body just gave way? And even when you say that, if you're like so religious like I was, okay, to also explain that a little bit, I was in a car accident when I was in preschool. So not that long before that, so probably about a year, 2 years before that, I actually had an accident that should have killed me. But my dad prayed and prayed, and this is how we ended up back being in Jehovah's Witnesses, that I'd survive. And I survived. And so we all became Jehovah's Witnesses, just like that.
Wow.
And so you have a girl that's from that, seeing how much God loves her and like being told that like God saved her, to seeing now her first friend just die like that. And your first thing is God. God saved me, but didn't save her. God killed her because of me. But so I choose to stand from a place of love and compassion. Like that was really hard for that little girl. And then I get to realize that little girl still is actually me. And that I am that little girl.
Yeah. So knowing that you were not at that time, you were with someone, but now you are like, okay, on your own or alone. Everybody is alone, but in terms of when you become a survivor or when you become emotionally resilient and you survive all these hurdles, like accidents, like all that experience that you had with your body and all of those things, when you survive, how do you see at this point in your life, in this journey now that you are at, wherever you are now, to see and positively take it and accept that these were not uncalled for, these were not meant for, or these just came into your journey, and you don't know what's still gonna come through, right?
Yeah.
But you have accepted that resilience has come through.
Yeah.
So now, how do you deal with it? Like, what's your, I call it, what's your tip, or one tip that you think that you have survived in you, but now you have to continue with this because you are now open and accepting for new challenges that can come through.
And look, I've had new challenges, you believe me, but
Mm-hmm.
I think self-compassion. I think for me, it all goes back to self-compassion. I'm trying to figure out why for some reason it's saying that my thing is liking it, but anyway, I'm liking it. I'm not even touching my phone, so I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
But no, because self-compassion, and I think it is super important to give yourself self-compassion.
Yeah.
Because, it is
Self-love.
so human of us to try and be somewhere or get somewhere or appear to be okay, or you know what, and life doesn't work like that. Sometimes I am just not okay, and that's okay. But it's having the self-compassion. That's how I deal with it these days, instead of making myself wrong for feeling whatever I feel. And while I'm in having self-compassion, I'm actually honoring the survivor in me. I'm allowing her to do and be what she needs to be just to be able to get through it, and allow that.
Yeah. So basically you got like that control, or like sense of control within you, that you have realized, but also all the fear, all the guilt, or all whatever you had during those times, and we are still coming those times, you sort of have learned to live peacefully through yourself. There is, so do you think that there is these things happened in your journey, and then do you think that this is like a second chance of life, or like living with a sense of purpose, or something?
It definitely makes you appreciate life, especially when you see how fickle life is. It was once said in a movie somewhere, like I remember hearing it in a quote. I don't know whether it was a movie or whatnot, but he said the gods are envy of us. Yeah. And the other fellow looked at him and said, "Why do you say that?" And he's like, "It's because that we die and they can't. We get to see everything with a time limit. And that's why we have appreciation." And that's why he believes that the gods are envious, like would want to actually even be us. Yeah. And I was like, that is so, well, I can relate to that a lot, actually. It's because we have a time limit. It's because we die that we get to appreciate. You're never going to appreciate something more when you realize that it could nearly be at its end. Like, you actually will make the time to go spend with your grandparents if you knew that they were going to die in 2 days. And it's just, you get to have appreciation for the little things.
I agree with you, like what you're saying, like accepting, and valuing yourself perfectly, or whether imperfectly, but you are valuing yourself, and then you are admitting and you are understanding. That's
not just myself. I value, it brings out the value of others, even like flowers, trees, plants, ocean, when we were all in COVID and locked down, how much did we appreciate the fact that we could have back in the day gone out, or that we will in the future go out? That first time going out, definitely we're going to value that.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I will value the day that they open the borders and I can travel overseas again.
Yes. Yeah, everybody is looking forward to for that, isn't it? Opening the borders. But
Yeah.
again, it's again that comes to that emotional resilient living, or in those situation when and you are ready for those situation which are uncertain, but because you have survived few things here then, and you have accepted that maybe there won't be more challenges, more experiences, but it's
There's
the understanding of yourself and
yeah,
compassion to yourself, what you said,
yeah.
will actually make you face those situations which are
Mm,
going to come through.
yeah.
Mm. Because nobody knows what situation, it's uncertain. So nobody knows what's we can expect or what can be expected. And if you
Yes.
have expectation, then you are putting more hard on yourself and more stress yourself. But if you go by the flow and look, I think that that would be the way to go. Hmm.
Totally. 100%.
Yeah.
Expectations is just a way to
Yeah.
disappoint yourself, really. But yeah.
Yeah. But do you think like after that survival, like I also have been through accidents, what you said, like a car accident, um, and survived. And I literally thought that I'm not gonna survive in that accident, but then I did. And then I realized I was once hospitalized as well. So I survived there as well. And it was quite interesting to note at a very younger age at that time. Um, my health just wouldn't recover. And then finally, I realized myself, and I had to ask the doctor to change the hospital. And we changed the hospital, and luckily I survived. But I don't know why I did that or how I happened, but I survived. But then I realized after that, like, okay, there is a purpose. Why did I survive? Or why I am being given to do
Well,
more things?
now I have to say this really quickly.
Mm.
I believe the only purpose we're here for
Hmm.
is a purpose we give ourselves to be here for. Because purpose is made
Yes.
up.
Yes, I agree.
Just like
100%.
meaning, like what's
Yeah,
the meaning of life? We
because there
literally
is
made
no
up that
such
whole
thing.
sentence.
Yeah, there is no such thing as that I want to survive
So
for this or I want to survive for that. It's actually, it's unconsciously the universe is telling us to do a lot of things.
mm.
And certain meant to happen through our things, it will happen through, no matter whether
Well,
you
there
like
is good
it or
news for all those people who are out there looking for a purpose in life.
not.
That is absolutely the best place to stand because guess what? You get to create it. You can
Oh,
make it
that's
up.
it.
Boom, and then
Yeah,
that could be
and
your
that's
purpose.
yeah, that's exactly what I was coming to. The next one was like, okay, is that after survival, is that mean that you have got another opportunity to create things?
Yeah.
Does it
Well,
mean that yeah?
because of everything, because of my
Mm.
survivor, my actual
Mm-hmm.
purpose that I got to create now is my
Mm.
purpose is I stand for people to have regained a re-awareness around love, compassion, and forgiveness.
Yeah.
And forgiveness being the juiciest, like the most important to me, is people learning to
Mhm.
forgive each other and forgive themselves. Now,
Yeah.
forgiveness is something that comes to me really easily. And so, yeah, I am lucky enough that I was able to create a platform and I actually coach these
Mm.
areas. So,
Right. Okay.
yeah, I
Yeah,
run a
I think
3-day course
after
and a 12-day course, a 12-week course.
yeah, like I know, like acceptance sometimes simply can be like why someone is doing this to you or why someone has done this to you, you don't know, like, but if you accept that sometimes there is no answer, simply there are no answers why someone is doing this and why someone is doing that. But then if you develop like coping mechanisms that you can count on yourself, and knowing that you will do whatever it takes to protect yourself
Yeah.
and your surroundings and your family, then you have got an opportunity to create an entirely new start for yourself. And I think like, yeah, loving yourself, as you rightly said, like fearing, importance of loving yourself. And that itself is a lifelong endeavor.
Mm.
So I think that's something I've always believed, that when we survive with something, or when you pass on with some hurdle, then you know that you can create something else, and you are here to create and keep creating.
From nothing, you can create anything.
Yes.
It's one of the beauty things about being at rock bottom. There's
Well,
only one way to go.
that's why I like numbers, because I sometimes keep asking why there was a starting zero to start with. Why the numbers started with a zero. So there has to
Because
be.
look,
That means you can
do you know
create.
why? Because the Earth was
Yeah.
round, which actually creates zero. There you go, boom,
Well,
answered. We all
people say
started from Earth.
Yeah.
Then they looked at
Yeah.
a tree and they're like, one.
That's right. So what are some of the, survival that you have got? Everybody goes through lots of things, and there could be like trauma, there could be, any losses of your family members, loved ones, there could be lots of,
Yeah.
different things of people have faced. But how do you remain positive to do things? And that what matters, really speaking.
How do I remain positive?
How do I remain? Like, I understand you love yourself, your compassion, and that's great.
Yeah. But how do I remain positive? I don't. Honestly, some days, like when, look, okay, so to explain, yeah, I lost someone very close to me.
Right.
And like he was living with me, and he was 1.5. Okay. And him and his mum were living with me, and they were actually related to me too.
Right. Okay.
And when he died, that was the worst pain I have ever felt in my life. And I can guarantee you it's the same for her as well. So in that moment, I wasn't positive. There was nothing positive about it. His mum was devastated. I was devastated. Like, the impacts were just real. But what I did is I actually ran away from that place. I moved to Brisbane to get away. I didn't deal with it at all.
You couldn't deal.
I didn't. It took me 2 years to be able to even face it. And then after that, it was very touch and go. But time is tricky. Time is a tricky thing.
Time heals a lot of things. Time does heal.
So there's some things that just you can't be positive about. But
I think you should.
In the end of the day, like now, looking back, I look back positively on the like, not on the situation, because trust me, there isn't a day that I wish that it didn't happen. But I'm grateful for all the moments that I got to spend with him, and I'm grateful for my family and everything else like that. So yeah, it's a tricky thing. However, I have to go because I have a coaching call that I've got to call one of my clients at 6 o'clock right now.
No, that's good. That's good. I think so. Yeah. So what can people take from this today?
Honor your survivor that's within you.
Yeah.
And get, she's probably just a young kid that something's happened. She's probably stuck at that age, and that's the girl that's been carrying you through. Or boy, little boy, whichever.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So basically there could be lots of, I would say that, when you are surviving, that means you are surviving. Like for me, I give the last bit I wanted to say is this, like when you are born, that itself is a survival that you come out after lots of struggle and challenges inside the womb. So you come out.
That brings up another thing, like, because when you're born, you get ripped out of the nice comfy home that you're in.
Yeah.
Well, not ripped, you pushed out on a very, very small hole that sort of expands. The first thing that does, you probably get slapped on the bum to start crying. That's your first experience. Welcome to the world.
Yeah, that's the first survival that you came out. That is the first survival hurdle that you came out. And then you are literally every moment you are surviving to grow, surviving to be thing. So I think
I
there are
really
lots
have
of
to go, though.
stages. Stages of survival. Yeah, stages of survival. So I think one thing we can just take from here, like, yeah, just be yourself, just self-love, and just be resilient of emotional
Yeah.
self-resilience. I think emotionally resilient is the only way you could keep surviving your moments. So yeah,
Breathe. Yeah.
that's it from me. Thanks
That's
very
it.
much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nikki. It
It
was
was nice
great
seeing you
to
again. See you next week.
see you. Likewise. See you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.